Land Shark 22 about inoculations and vaccinations. I don't want to. I don't want to get them wrong. We'll just say vaccine because it rhymes with Maxine. And no, this is serious. In any situation of force, I would think what some government officials plot, notwithstanding, so long as you are not partaking in other people's property, then what you do is your business. You know, put an X on the door. You stay on your property. You do not leave your property. If you wish to enter public property, then here's what happens. Because unfortunately, when we cross that line over into public property, that is when our liberties begin to intersect with the liberties of others. Is it scary that in order to enjoy certain benefits, you have to be submissive to certain things? Yes, most definitely. As quite a few of us on here have been forcibly inoculated. You know, when you're in recruit training and officer candidate school, everybody's lined up, and you're injected with who even knows what, you know. Then you get your paired up, and whoever's the primary leader of the day says, "Okay, watch your buddy," and if his eyes roll back in his head, let us know, you know. But if you want to have that job that calls for you to go to places overseas or whatever, then that's what you do. You know, in the Corps, you're inoculated against things like yellow fever, malaria, quite a few other things. You get, I want to say, you do get a flu shot. And the idea isn't that they're forcing you to force you for the sake of being forced. It would, to a point, now this is just the counterpoint. I'll tell y'all how I feel about it shortly, just bear with me. The way that I took it when I was getting those inoculations is that, and the vaccination, is that if I have a flu shot, if I have a malaria inoculation, if I have yellow fever stuff, then it could be that in certain situations I would be able to continue to function when my enemy would not. And that's how I felt it, how it made sense to me in context. In the case of, let's just get real here. We had a Shigella outbreak a few years ago. And what had happened, you know, Shigella is a disease where you poop too much or whatever. And it was kind of spreading through the school. And if a kid had like diarrhea symptoms because of these health department directives that came down, they were not allowed to go to school, and they had to go to the doctor before they could return. They needed a doctor's note and then a certain amount of time after the last instance of of loose stool. I mean, would you say, no, I have a right to be in that school? I have a right to be here, even though you are ill and you have a communicable disease, do you have a right to be there? No, you don't. Because, believe it or not, democracy does have a say. I Those people do a lot better job than what you're led to believe. You can say, "Oh, look at what's in this vial," and there's live pathogens, and oh, look, there's strains of the bubonic plague in there, and there's mercury in there, and there's all kinds of other suspension things in there. But do you really, put it all together? What does it all mean? The people that speak so strongly against um, things like that, when you research their background, they've lost their medical licenses. They've had nervous breakdowns, mental health issues, but because they were a former doctor, people put up their flag, and it's the darndest things. I don't I don't like the idea of somebody coming to a person's house and giving them a shot. Um, I don't I don't like it whatsoever, and it's not the way it should be. But what I don't like even less is when the science is good, and even after you present your case of the science being good and the information is out there that the science is good, and people remain stiff-necked because they're ignorant, and then it causes more people to be sick due to their ignorance. I don't care for that either. So we have to balance out what we don't care about even less. I This may make me a little bit unpopular, and I can live with that. But I care very much for my family, and I care very much for um, the family of my neighbors and the people in my community. And if the science is very much good and you've been presented the case and we have no other choice than to prevent something like a swine flu, not swine flu, but the Spanish flu pandemic, or some of these other really real situations, um, I'll pin you down myself and inject you, because you would be dead right. Stuff in history, medical outbreaks in history are no joke. They're not entertaining, and they're not something like from the movie Outbreak, where, well, the National Guard comes in with their Humvee and their little masks and things like that, and they got their M16s to try to keep everybody in the city. I mean, you can't let your fear become stronger than your brain. Uh, when when people that are in fact smarter than us present this stuff, you can't just look at it and say, "Oh, this is what that means, and that's what that means because that's what I think." Uh, mm, mm. All of that being said, is it a slippery slope when you give allowance to have a person do whatever they want with your body? Yes, most definitely. But here's the flip side to that coin. If you have some sort of a funky ass disease and you're running around town with a bubonic plague hanging out your cheek and you got a right to be there, guess what you're doing to everybody else? Is it different for you when you get to do whatever you want to someone else's body? Because, that's what's happening. It's tough. It's tough, and it's complex, and it incites some very deep emotions. But just like with what I said right there, the emotions that people are exerting towards their point are the same. You're getting two sides of a situation, and you got to look at both of them. Yeah, maybe I can avoid stepping in doo doo. This is the internet. We'll see.